This is the most comprehensive video on slow pitch softball we've ever produced. Its runtime is 1 hour and 45 minutes, and it covers base hitting, power hitting, and rotational hitting. So don't try to watch it all in one sitting. It's way too much information. So decide which part you want to start on, and for your convenience, we've chaptered the DVD so you can logically find each of the 6 sections. This program is designed for extremely serious softball hitters. Guys who are committed to making changes and putting the time in to implement them. For example, the rotational drill section is 20 minutes long and extremely detailed. If you're seriously committed to learning the rotational swing for power, view this chapter by itself, then go out to the tee and work on it. Even in the first session, you will be amazed how quickly you fully understand and can effectively use this style of swing. So again, watch this DVD in sections, starting with the ones that interest you the most. Too much of a buffet is overwhelming, so only put on your plate what you can digest in one sitting.
Hi, I'm Lindsay and I like to swing.
Hi, I'm Jalissa and I like to swing too.
My name's Bobby. Maybe they could teach me how to swing.
Ooh, these balls are so hard.
I can't shut it off!
On our farm in southwest Wisconsin corn country, I awoke as if from a dream. I just watched a major level softball game, and the days of the 300-foot fences and unlimited home runs were gone. Composite bats and hard training made yesterday's distances obsolete. Hitters are now more versatile and could drive base hits to the opposite field, hitting gaps at will. How things had changed since our last slow pitch video 6 years ago. Oh, we'd been working. During this time, our staff had been researching and creating 2 hitting programs for baseball and creating our website, sportstechnique.com. Studying the incredible swings like Ted Williams and Barry Bonds, our advisory staff had developed 2 programs using rotational mechanics that offered the best of power and average. It was amazing for me to see how easily these kids were able to pick up the natural rotational swing. Meanwhile, my son grew to high school age, and the cutting-edge technique we learned and developed for all his sports helped make him a first-team All-State athlete, competing in football, wrestling, and baseball. He averaged a home run every 4 at-bats in high school, batting .470 as a senior, a student of rotational hitting. As I watched these young men reach their prime, I grew into an old man of 50. However, using the techniques in the kids' video, I developed a tighter rotation, a quicker swing, and had one of my better seasons for hitting at the age of 50. Last spring, I had the privilege of attending the inaugural Softball Magazine spring training in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Previously, the Moore Softball Board get-together run by Dale Cribbs and Jim Ramsey, the always progressive Gene Smith, his wife Lou Ann, and the Softball Magazine staff made this an event of epic proportions. I knew it'd be first class all the way. Still, I was amazed when super major players and Mizuno ambassadors, Rusty Bumgarner and Jeff Hall, the 2 best hitters in softball today, showed up to give individual lessons. What I saw amazed me. The softball pros had gone rotational. The more linear, hard-cutting tomahawk swings popularized by Steels and the great teams of the 90s had given way to a more consistent, more easily learned rotational snap to the ball. I realized too that those rec players lucky enough to instinctively have that God-given natural stroke were swinging rotationally. I was impressed to say the least. While at spring training, I met the boss of these sluggers, former major slow pitch great Greg Harding, still an impressive hitter and now the Mizuno National Softball rep. we decided to work together to present a program that will bring this and other styles of hitting to the rec players worldwide. When I got back to Wisconsin from spring training, I was excited as hell. This swing made a lot of sense, and I devoted 2 weeks to it. I did drills, I took BP, and I was amazed. At the end of the 2 weeks, I was doing the swing like I'd done it my whole life. The great thing about this swing is that it's logical, it makes a lot of sense, and you get a feel for it rather quickly. So instead of thinking technique all the time or thinking one part of the swing or another, you flow right into this perfectly. Your hips open, your upper body follows, and everything seems to fall into place. You're able to swing hard every time and deliver a good, consistent flow. I fully understand that not every hitter is going to be able to relate to me personally. So we have a wide variety of hitters at different skill levels, from deep players through major and senior major plus. These hitters will give their own personal comments on what style they use, and our hope is that you'll find one of these guys that you can totally relate to and understand better the techniques for success. We'll be presenting 2 styles of home run hitting, 8 different techniques for switching and base hitting, and of course how to maximize your rotational power. Knowing that many of you are coaches, the rotational swing will be taught by using several daily drills to teach and reinforce the muscle memory, the very same way you teach your athletes. Also, rather than saying this is the only way to hit for power, we'll present both the rotational style and the more linear tomahawk style of hitting, showing the pros and cons of both. So that's why we're so excited and we can't wait to present this to you today.
Enough with the introductions, now let's get swinging.
When these warriors enter the arena, grim-faced with weapons drawn, there is only one task at hand: delivering the bomb. Don't be fooled that the biggest and strongest conquer all. In this arena, technique is the supreme ruler. Brute size and strength mean little unless the proper movements are performed. He who controls both size and skill is a feared opponent, undeniably master of the domain. Rotational and tomahawk techniques are the dominant tools in establishing power. Since the early days of America, the tomahawk has ruled the land. As the tomahawk flew with an explosive rotation end over end, so does the tomahawk swing. Delivering a radical snap of the bat from lag back through contact with the ball, the bat head slices at a sharp angle across the path of the pitch. A more linear motion forward of both the upper and lower body provides momentum for the attack. By swinging radically across the path of the ball, an angled cut is delivered by a violent wrist snap. By striking the ball on the backside and below the center line, incredible backspin and low trajectory are common, resulting in a low rising golf shot, which carries over the outfielders' heads and cuts hard into any headwind. The whipping action of the bat head from lag back through contact provides an explosive level of bat speed. It's a swing with an attitude, often reflecting the personality of the attacker.
If we continue to hit this hard, we'll be doing this with our shirts on.
Tension is high as balls fly off the bat in all directions. When the tomahawk is done well, it has no equal, but consistency is its bane. The radical angle between the paths of the swing and pitch make timing a nightmare. If triggered too early or too late, the swing can easily degenerate into a violent chop of an axe murderer. Unpleasant. The power of the tomahawk is undeniable, but it takes the hand-to-eye coordination of a good athlete to tame this beast. If the tomahawk is a violent slam dance, then the rotational swing is a ballet of finesse and speed. A controlled winding and unwinding of the lower and upper body powers a tight rotation which delivers the bat head on an angle closer to the path of the pitch. Bat speed is still maximized, but a larger margin of error and higher level of consistency are achieved with these mechanics. Using the explosive power of the lower body, the hips coil on the pre-swing and load weight onto the rear leg. As the base widens and lead foot reaches ahead, the hands are drawn back to the launch position, coiling the upper body and midsection. The muscles are lightly stretched, not unlike pulling a rubber band to its limit. Like a storage spring, both the lower and upper body harbor an incredible amount of energy. Since the desired path of the swing is level to slightly up, the body is positioned vertically, or slightly back to allow the hips and upper body to open at the proper angle. As the front foot and heel plant, the hips start to unwind. An initial push off the back foot drives the rear hip forward. The front hip drives backwards and also acts as a block against the forward thrust of the rear hip. Torquing against one another, they explosively rotate. As they start to unwind and twist open, the muscles of the lower back and stomach tighten, and the upper body begins to follow the rotation. Both the upper and lower body are now working together, rotating on similar planes and at top speed. The hard rotational pull of the lead arm and front shoulder, combined with the forward thrust from the rear hip rotation and top hand and arm extension, rapidly extends the arms. The hard pull and push of the hands and bat knob on a straight line forward, aiming just below the center of the ball. The bat head lags back, and the wrists begin to torque the bat handle in anticipation of the upcoming snap of the bat. Quickly, the lead arm reaches full extension, and the wrists become a pivot for the rotational whip or snap of the bat head around this stationary axis. The torque of the wrists working against one another on the bat handle, along with the continued rotational thrust of the rear hip opening and the continued rapid extension of the top arm and hand, provide the force needed to explosively snap the bat head from lag back to and through contact with the ball. The physics of this movement dictate a second higher level of bat speed and power. As the bat rotates around the fixed point of the wrist, the explosive sweeping snap of the bat head cuts through the ball with a level or slight upswing, transferring power from the bat head to the contact point below the center line of the ball. This optimum placing of the bat head propels the ball upward at an angle and provides a hard cutting action resulting in rapid backspin and additional lift. This powerful bat whip and transfer of power results in an impressive display of home run distance. Because the hips are continuing to rotate open at the point of impact, the entire mass of the lower body is behind the top hand, wrists, and bat head. As a result of this momentum, the bat speed stays high as the bat head overcomes the breakaway inertia of the incoming softball and transfers the maximum amount of power, propelling the ball in an opposite direction. By using the entire body, small hitters can drive for power and outdistance much larger opponents with inferior technique. The hitter has used the entire body to generate force in a number of ways that maximize the potential of both the bat and athlete. The composite or aluminum bat head and handle have also flexed to their limits, providing a powerful rebound effect from the bat and softball core. After contact, the top arm continues to full extension as the wrists roll and the hips finish the rotational push open. After full extension of the arms, in the classic V-shaped position and complete snapping open of the hips, the wrists complete their rollover as the body finishes with a relaxed follow-through. At full extension, some hitters feel the top hand release off the bat as the swing finishes, but never release the bat before contact or power will be lost.
I'm Doug, and I like to do the baBOOM.
We hope you liked the open and enjoyed seeing all those great hitters. But also we wanted to lay the base and show you how we think rotational hitting is better for consistency and power. Now you can't take a knife and cut it down the middle and say this is tomahawk, this is rotational. While there are differences, they blend together, and it's just two terms we use to kind of describe the different styles. Now today we aren't going to make this a physics class and break down every little thing. Our objective is to get the feeling for it. And if we can open the idea or open up the doors of thought to you so that you think, yes, I never thought about trying that before, and that takes you to the next level, then we're going to be successful. Now we've been at a lot of awesome parks and some real interesting festivals in the taping of this video. But today, to make a point, I'm taping this in our garage. I've got it set up as a batting cage, just to show you can do the drills and develop the swing basics by doing it in your backyard. You don't have to be at a fancy park. You can do it at work. You can do it in your garage, your basement. And certainly by developing the skills within a couple of weeks is all it took me to go from this swing that I had 20 years ago. This is a swing that I had at Softball Magazine spring training last year, and this is the swing I have today. And if I can erase 35 years of muscle memory that quickly, we know that this swing is natural, it's correct, and you're going to be able to do it just as fast. We call it the baBOOM drill because first of all we want to use a term that's easy to use. Simply it describes the winding and unwinding of the lower body and the upper body. The ba can stand for the real relaxed wind, ba, and the stretch out. And the boom is a term that gives you that idea of the explosion, boom. So when we put them together you can also use it as a timing. You can go ba, boom, an explosion. Now the ba portion simply winds up the lower body. We get in our stance, and again, individual stances vary, but we want to have the weight on the front of our feet. I start in a balanced stance. You'll see that some of the guys on the rear foot, some of the pro guys, build up a mound of dirt so that they have the weight shifted to the inside in front of the foot. I like to do that because it feels like you get the weight on the inside of the knee, and anyhow, it gives you an opportunity to drive off a little bit better. But simply get in your stance, and the first thing you do is go ahead and bring your knee back. And that starts with the winding of the hips. As you understand, the hips are the strongest part of your body, the lower body, the hips, the legs. So simply wind up, and then as you get the weight shifted to the back leg on the wind, this is the ba portion, you get the weight shifted on the leg, the weight's on the inside of the foot, and then you go ahead and you reach ahead. You let the body come ahead. You don't just stride ahead, but you hold your body vertical, and you reach ahead and land on your toe with your foot closed to 3/4. That way you've kept all the weight on your back leg, and you can feel tension from the inside of your foot up the inside of your leg, and I feel like there's a lot of power right here, almost like I have a fist right at my hip point. So again, the ba portion, which is the pre-swing and the winding of the lower body, is ba, and you come ahead. And again, just lightly land on your front foot, almost like you're landing on an egg. Now once you put the boom together with it, they'll flow together, but simply from the side here, I'll go ahead and turn, and I'll go ba, and you'll see that my upper body and shoulder turn in as well. But really on this drill we're focusing more so on the lower body. Ba. So let's go back to the side now. The second portion of that is the explosion, the boom. Whereas the ba is a slow winding and stretch, almost like pulling a rubber band back. You feel that tight coiling. There's not a lot of tension, but you do feel a built up tightness like winding a spring or pulling a rubber band. On the ba, we come ahead. Now our weight is shifted ahead a little bit to wind our base out and to give us a little body momentum going forward. And on the boom, we simply drive the heel down. This leg is going to be a brace, and this hip is going to drive backwards a little bit, but really what we're going to try to do is get this weight and this power that's on the back leg, and we're going to use the push off the inside of the back foot to drive the hip open and deliver a rotational thrust. Boom. So again, if I think of having a fist on my hip here, I go ba, and then boom. It's a very tight rotation, and you notice that the back foot drags up as we rotate, and that's because this hip is moving while the foot initially pushes the hip open. It wants to follow afterwards because the hips will be freewheeling. One way that people do it wrong, some rec players, is I see them press, not push. By that I mean we go ba, and then they feel like it's a press all the way open. They feel like they have to have constant push off the back foot in order to hit. That's a mistake. What you do is you simply start the rotation of the hip with the rear foot as you come off the toe, come up with the heel, and that pushes it open initially, and then it's a combination of the hard twist, the torque between the front hip and the back that gives you that tight rotation. So simply we've developed this baBOOM. It's a nice tight rotation of the lower body. You're going to see that we progress on, but everything starts with the lower body. Again, you can do 3 sets of 5 to drill it. Ba, boom, and then simply put it all together. Ba, boom. How far ahead you step on your stride, on your reach step, is determined by how much body momentum you want to get forward. That becomes a critical factor. If you go too far, you can lunge ahead and get the weight off of here too early. It's a critical timing thing, but smaller guys like Josh Foster and Scott Dooley take a little bit more step. They want to get all the body momentum forward. So there's a fine line between. I'm a bigger guy. I don't need to use it as much, so simply I try to keep mine more compact. Ba-boom. Our second drill involves the use of a bat and a guide rope. We stretch this guide rope across, and this signifies the path of our desired swing. This is level or slightly up. Now when you swing and hit an ASA or USSA, or where I play high arc, you'll see that this swing angle is level or slightly up and the ball comes down at an angle about like this. So you can see you're naturally going to get a cut. Just by swinging level, you're going to get a cut, and you're generally speaking going to cut the bottom half of the ball. Now, the higher the arc and the more radical the pitch comes in, you might want to change your swing angle a little bit so you aren't having such a glancing blow. In high arc where I play, unlimited arc, they throw as high as 30 feet and that ball comes down like this. So certainly you want it to land in front of you, but you may swing up a little bit more so that you can match the angle a little bit closer and not have such a glancing, cleaving blow. But basically speaking, for ASA and USSA, we put the guide rope across, we grab the bat, and we grab it shoulder width apart and bring it right to our hip points. And we hold it tight there. And basically we just do the baBOOM, which we already did. And this way here, we swing over the top of the rope with the baBOOM, ba, and we get the feel of this hip explosion, this rotational thrust, pushing the bat head over the top of the rope and through the ball. This drill does two things. It reinforces that feeling of getting a rotational thrust. Now, even though our front hip drives back and we get a nice hard twist, we'd rather concentrate on delivering that thrust forward and using this more as a block rather than driving backwards because we want to deliver the bat head around. So simply, you get in your stance, you go ba, and you push the bat head along the top of the rope and really get the feeling of exploding this through the ball. Ba, boom! The second thing that this drill does automatically without thinking, and we've already done it here, is it helps set the body angle and the hip angle. Whatever angle your hips open at is the angle your upper body is going to follow in the swing. For instance, if I swing down with the hips, the upper body is going to follow down. So it only makes sense that if we drill this, we're going to automatically learn that we want to be vertical or slightly back on our angle so that we can swing level or slightly up. Ba, boom. Doesn't matter if you're on the top or bottom of the rope, just so you're parallel to the rope. Again, ba, boom. As we progress on to the third drill, we've already learned how to wind up the lower body, set the proper body angle, and deliver that explosive thrust. Now what we do is grab the bat, and we're going to finish the job by learning how to wind up the upper body and get to the launch position. That's what baseball guys use the term to describe the position of the body right before you explode with the swing. Simply get in that stance, and as we do the ba, you'll notice that the hands want to dip down a little bit. It's a little bit of a rhythm, a little bit of a timing. As long as you don't use too much motion, that's great. It helps you time, ba. As you come ahead, you notice the hands come back. Not only is the upper body wound up or counter-rotated or coiled, but the hands pull back and wind the upper body up. You can have flexibility in this arm to different degrees, but as far back as you can go, you're going to have the hands back and it will explode ahead farther when you unwind the swing. From the side again, it's going to look like this. I get in my stance, again I go ba, hands back. You'll notice my shoulders still facing the pitcher. My upper body's wound, my lower body's wound. I have a tight tension between the two, and I'm ready to explode. Why you think 5% on the ba and 100% on the boom. The last drill is the most fun, and that's the 5-part swing drill. And there we're in the launch position, and we simply go ahead and we deliver the swing. First of all, you start out in your position with your ba. So get back in our stance. Ba. I'm in the launch position. Understanding now that the first thing you do is drive off the inside of the back foot and the hips start to open. That's your hips. Then you're still back in the launch position, and you'll see on a lot of pro guys and a lot of good swings that they're still sometimes drawing the hands back as the hips start open. Again, that is due to the slack between the stomach muscles and the back muscles. It's more of a slingshot effect, and it gives you even more power. But simply for demonstrating the 5 parts of the swing, we're going to start with the hips open. The next thing you want to do, and this is the biggest key that I've made a change on my own swing and that a lot of rec guys don't understand. Whereas you're getting a great rotational thrust and your top hand is pushing, in the old days of the tomahawk swing and in some of our other videos, the pros said the bottom hand guides and the top hand drives. I've come to the conclusion from talking to the guys using the rotational swing, and of course learning it myself, that guide is way too passive of a term. When I get to this position here, I find that the rear hip and the top hand are on autopilot. They're pushing on their own. I don't even have to think about them because we've drilled it so much. And because you have a blocking portion of your front hip here, and you're driving backwards and blocking, you're going to have a nice tight rotation of the lower body. Now because we want to keep the upper body on the same plane and we want to rotate just as tight, we don't have the luxury of a block here. So what we have to do is really pull the lead shoulder open. And so thus the combination of those factors make us go ahead and pull the lead shoulder open, pull the lead arm, the tricep, the forearm, and we pull the knob of the bat directly towards the center or bottom half of the ball. Leave the wrists loose and you'll find that the top hand and hip will continue to rotate open this whole time, and you'll go to snap, snap to contact. Again, that's that tremendous lag from lag back. Again, that's that tremendous snap from lag back to contact with the ball. Hands are palms down, palms up. As your hips continue to push open, you continue to rotate, you continue to pull with the lead shoulder. You'll blast right through the ball to full extension. At full extension, both arms are fully extended. You're in that V shape, the hips are open, the end of the bat's pointing right at the pitcher, and then you just have a nice natural finish. So certainly those are the 5 steps, and the key there is to lead pull. Again, we'll go through them again. Get in that position, ba, hips fire first, they push open, and then we use that rotational push. The stomach muscles have engaged. We're starting to feel a push on the upper body. We pull right towards the center or bottom of the ball. And then we continue to push with the hips and the upper body and the top hand. We find a snap, and then full extension and a relaxed finish. Now there's a big key here on the wrist. You can do the wrist one or two ways, and this is where grip becomes very important. You'll notice that I have an overlap grip, and some of the guys talked before, and some of the guys will talk after me. Krug, some of the other guys will demonstrate different grips that they use, but the real benefit of the overlap grip, and I simply am doing the same thing that the baseball purists would always say, line up the knuckles, but I simply grab over the top here. Grip that I copied many years ago, and I also grab my little finger, put my little finger over the bottom as I grip the bat like this. And this simply enables my wrist to be much looser. And when it comes time, when I get to full extension, if you leave no tension in the wrist and all that force is going forward, the bat has to whip around. And it does so very easily. And it whips through contact to full extension. As Ray DeMarini said in one of his videos, you want to accelerate through the ball. That's not always probably possible, but it's a thought process you have so you don't stop at contact. Now, that being said, the second thing you have to understand is that there's a wrist position change. When I get to full extension and I go to contact, people look at that and say, the wrists haven't changed position. They're still in the palm down, palm up position. But I'm going to show you something that will describe why the wrists have to change a little bit, and I call it an oversnap. If I hold this totally palm down with my lead hand and push, you can see the bat wants to stop there. And that's because this wrist can only flex so far when it's in a palm down position. I can swing hard or push hard and the bat wants to stop. What you have to do is, even though the wrist is in palm down at contact, it has to be turned in a little bit. And you'll see if I turn it down just a little bit, but then it can rotate all the way around. I call it a little bit of an oversnap. You're actually trying to roll it, I guess, a little bit early. The wrists don't have a true roll over till after contact, but just by turning that down, almost like if I had a watch on my wrist and I turn it towards the pitch a little bit, instead of being here, by turning it down, it flicks right around. So that's called an oversnap. And so your snap of the bat from lag back to and through contact can be achieved by two ways. You can leave the wrist totally loose so that when you explode to full extension, they just snap over. Or I prefer to do a little bit of an oversnap, and I simply, from the start of my swing, I try to torque this wrist a little bit. I try to crank on it a little bit as I'm extending. Understanding that this is such a dynamic pull and force forward that you can't roll ahead of the pull forward. But I'm trying to, and that just means I'm putting some tension on here so that when this wrist reaches full extension, it's going to quickly snap around. So without the rope, we go ba, hips, pull, snap, and finish. We start to blend those together. Ba, hips, pull, finish. Ba, finish. Pretty soon we can simply just go ba, You started with the baBOOM on the first drill, you end with the baBOOM. It's very simple, you see it makes a lot of sense naturally, and now we progress on to the tee and to live hitting. I think you can see the simplicity is the beauty of this system, and instinctively you're learning how to progress on from the hips to the upper body, finally delivering the bat head through the ball. Again, on the 5-part swing drill, try it both ways, but for me and a lot of the guys I've worked with, I really feel like that focus of pulling the upper body around with the rotation off of the rear hip, you already automatically have that explosive thrust and top hand push. If you guide, and again, don't think of guide as being so passive, but if you guide properly by pulling the upper body to keep it on the same plane as the lower body, to give it a very tight rotation and to transfer that power you've developed in your hips up through the upper body. And if you guide properly by pulling with the lead shoulder, and again, using the over snap so that the wrist properly will let the bat whip around and deliver a good snap from lag back to contact, that you find that you've been able to understand the swing and get a feel for it. Again, when I step up to the plate now, all I focus on pretty much is simply winding, and then right away as my hips start to push open, I pull with the upper body, the lead shoulder, the arm. I try to really turn this wrist over early in the swing so that when my hips and the upper body catch up, I get a great snap through the ball. And I'm able to cut the ball because I can really pull the hand and the knob more towards the bottom. And because I have an angle back slightly, I'm going to cut it and I'm going to put it up in the air. You want to make sure that you have the proper position of your sweet spot with the position of the ball. And you have to have your hips open in order to get the proper position. If your hips are closed and you just reach your bat head out, you're going to notice where the Mizuno is in respect to the evil ball. And as I turn my hips open, you'll see the bat creeps this way some. So certainly have your hips open and have the ball placed just out ahead of your body. Simply then get back in your stance, do the ball, and then boom. So when I go out and I try to develop a home run style power hitting stroke, I try to see if I can hit 8 out of 10 good fly balls, balls with underspin, balls that have the proper trajectory, balls that would carry over a fence. Boom. Boom. Lastly, progress on again to the live pitching, and here's where your muscle memory takes over. You want to swing at a level to slide up angle, and from doing the tee work, from doing the bat on the rope drill, it should all flow automatically. You'll have that one focus that you develop. Again, mine is simply to pull that lead shoulder and to go ahead and over snap the lead wrist. Everything else is going to thrust hard, and I should get a good snap up through the ball trying to hit a underspin home run type ball. That's going to enable my upper body to turn tighter and keep it the same angle and at the same spin speed as the lower body. Again here, if I can get that nice easy stretch of the rubber band, still keep my upper body back, but when I go to deliver the swing, deliver it with a hard explosive opening in the hips but a hard pull, and pull the hand right towards the bottom of the ball and make sure I over snap it so I get that nice snap through it. Don't try to drag around and lift it up in the air. Let your body angle set that proper angle, and you just cut the bottom half of it and try to snap it through. Let my rotation bring the swing around.
Bogey has no idea what he's talking about. Let's see what the real pros have to say.
Well, I started playing as soon as I could walk and hold a bat and went right on up through. We were fortunate enough to win the American Legion World Series in 1985, and then I went on to play at the University of Richmond. I still have, I think I still have somewhere between 11 and 15 offensive records there. After UR, I went on and played in the Toronto Blue Jays organization for 3 years until 3 shoulder surgeries put me out of baseball, and I guess that was a good thing because it got me into this wonderful world of softball. I started off with Taylor Brothers, which was a major team, which was just one class under the super teams. Then I went on to play with Woody Bell and Belcourt, and then Bell and Sunbelt merged for a year or two. Then I played with Sunbelt with Wayne Williamson. Then I played with the Dan Smith bunch for a couple of years there. You know, I batted everywhere from 1st through 7th. I batted cleanup for a year. which was kind of funny. The one year I batted cleanup, Jeff Arnold batted third, and here he is at 6'9", 300 pounds with me backing him up. The unique thing about softball is most guys have to make a big adjustment coming from baseball into softball. I really was fortunate. I have a real short, compact swing, and I haven't changed it much over the years at all. The biggest thing I had to do when coming out of baseball into softball was learn what pitch was a strike. I think I played my first 2 years and never took a pitch. I mean, as soon as the pitcher let it go, I was swinging. It was underhanded, and it was a heck of a lot easier to hit than a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. But once I learned to get the pitch from my chest to my waist consistently, that's when I really started to become a good hitter. I developed that short, compact swing, which I guess we'll take a look at here later in the video, but so many repetitions, I don't think I could change that compact swing if I wanted to, so I just had to make minor adjustments to make it, fit into the delivery of the underhand lob pitch softball. And I'm not saying that compact is the way to go for everybody, because you take a Rusty Bumgardner who's 6'7", and he gets the maximum extension in his swing, and he's one of the best, if not the best hitter this year. But the compact swing works for me because there's so very little that can go wrong with it, and if something does go wrong, it's very easy to fix because there's so little movement in it that you can fix it in a hurry. In boxing and in softball, short and quick can be effective. Take a boxer who punches you here quick, whether it's right in the sternum, right in the stomach, or right in the jaw for the knockout. The same effective short swing can be very effective in softball. I'll demonstrate it to you right here. I'm not changing anything about my swing at all. And that's it. A lot of kids get in trouble, or a lot of people get in trouble when they go out and around. Well, there's no room to go out and around in this drill. You got to go right to the ball. Now, I nicked it there a little bit, but that's only, a 1/16 of an inch. Most times, my swing, I take a full swing with just this much room and never touch that fence, and that's a great drill to work on to shorten your swing. Why that's happening is your hips open, your hands are here, and then the bat head goes straight out to the ball. Finish. You don't have time to go to let your hands start to swing. If your hands start your swing, you're going to want to go here. If your hips start your swing, your hands are going to want to follow as quick as they can and catch up going towards the ball. There's two terms that Bogey's been using so far in the video: load and explode, or baBOOM. We want to go a little bit further into those right now. Your load or your ba is here. However you get here. Some guys tap a little bit. I like to just I'm here, I just like to shift my knee in, pick my left foot up a little bit, and the purpose of this is just to get all your weight, or at least 90% of your weight, onto your back leg. Now, you've got a fist, or a rocket, maybe better described as a fist, right here in your hip that fires at the ball. That fist fires, it throws the hands to here, and then everything else just takes care of itself. Right as your hip fires and right before contact, your bat head's going to be here. The ball is going to be somewhere right in here, right before contact, and you're going to be right here. And if you slow it down that much, you'd look at the photo and go, how in the heck is that guy going to hit that ball? Then all of a sudden, that bat's just going to come, just at the last second, it's just going to explode through and take over. My arms are fully extended, I feel like, in my swing. As quick as I can get them there from here to here, they're extended. Then they roll over on their own, rather than me constantly, worrying about a wrist roll or a wrist cock or anything like that. I feel like certainly my hands roll over, but it's as a result of me firing the bat head out there, starting with my hip, and then the rollover just occurs because momentum and torque take over. My right hand is involved in my swing, but my left hand really pulls and helps with my swing. That's going to enable me to cut the bottom of the ball. That's what I want to do. I want to hit the bottom third of the ball because I was always fortunate enough to play with no limits. So I'm going to, after I load, I'm going to fire my hip, the hands at the bottom of the ball, then finish twisting hard on this hip, finish around, and hope I hit the bottom of the ball, and I hope my misses are top spin base hits. Pro guys tinker with their swing enough and hit with guys consistently enough that can monitor their swing. I think a lot of times rec guys go out with great intentions, but they don't necessarily have anything to fall back on. I mean, they may take repetitions and they may be taking 50 swings wrong and in fact hurting themselves. I mean, all they're doing maybe is helping their timing a little bit, whereas you need to get a consistent set of fundamentals under you, a good fundamentally sound swing, so you've got something to fall back on. Your best success as a rec player is not to technically overanalyze your swing, but just to go out and get a feel for what a good swing is and go from there.
try to make it all one motion. When I'm here and I'm coming through, then I want to snap. I want to just start rolling them and then try to just snap them on through and then let that bat just do its thing. I want to try to cut the bottom half of the ball. So I want to take that swing and just get down here with it more and then just try to, you know, just catch the bottom half of that ball. So it's going to be, I try to keep my swing level. I don't try, a lot of people mess up and say, well, you need to swing up for a home run. A lot of people do. I don't personally. I swing straight through, try to all the time. But, you know, the reason I do that is because I'm doing a couple things here. If I want to hit the ball, try to hit it through the infield, I'm going to hit the middle half of that ball. I'm trying to watch the middle half of that ball, and I'm trying to, you know, cut it and hit right through it. If I'm trying to hit a home run, I'm trying to take that same swing, but just a little different approach as far as hitting the bottom half of the ball. Well, last year I was the first player ever to win the Triple Crown, and with that being said, I can go back 10 years ago, and the key change that really turned my game around was, you know, I used to get in the box and I'd stand straight up, and that's why I preach today, you know, getting down here with it and that explosion swing. You know, I used to stand off the plate and hit the middle, hit the right center, and that's where I used to live when I first started playing with steels. And now today I stand up on the plate and, you know, and I explode through the ball. And with that, you know, that was the biggest change that's changed me over the last 10 years and made me a pretty darn good hitter over the year. All weight should be shifted back to this back leg. You should be able to loop, you know, this front foot is just like your right hand. Both of them should just be there and just a feel. This is a guide hand. This is just a guide leg is all this is. Because I've got all my weight shifted back here. My hands are up against me here in tight, so I don't have but one move. And that one move is going to be blowing, getting all this right here coming through. A lot of people say, well, you have to hit up on the ball to hit a home run. You don't. You generate that power back here, just driving, pushing off, and just making that contact and hitting the lower half of that ball will generate that home run swing for you. If I'm going base hit, I don't change my swing. I keep it down here and try to hit through the middle of the ball and try to drive it through the infield. But my feeling for my swing is just the same every time I get in. I don't adjust nothing no different, whether I'm base hitting, whether I'm home run swing or not, because, you know, my power is going to come from back here. When I went to that stance, it gave me the ability to, when I do squat down, I found out, if you got bigger guys, they stand up, they got the leverage. But when you got guys like myself or guys like, the rec guys back home, I mean, you got to get every way and find every way you can to generate that power. And that's what I did 10 years ago. I found my swing and found how much it helped me by getting up on the plate and just exploding through it. And I think if you take a couple key changes and work with them and find out what's good for you, then, you'll become successful. I don't like the word load up personally, and the reason I don't like it is because it's just a term I've never used, because, the word load up, I just get a bad feeling that if you load up, then boom, you're gonna do something wrong. I like to explode. Explode is the same term as going hard. Yeah, if you want to know the difference between load or explode, it's a wait, explode. Wait on that ball and then just bring everything at one time straight through the zone, pushing up, hands coming through when you're on contact, just letting the bat do the work. Up through the ball, what I mean by that is just like I said, getting back down here and coming, pushing off here and coming up through the ball. But with that being said, coming up through it, my bat, if you notice, my bat's still gonna stay level. That's where a lot of people get misinterpretation. They think when you say up through the ball, that don't mean swing up here. Because if you drop your shoulder, you're gonna have a tendency to throw that ball straight up in the air.
But which way do you look at it? I mean, or don't you ever think that?
I don't think. And the reason I don't think is because, a lot of people, they start thinking, and that's a problem. I mean, you got to find something that's comfortable for you. I mean, I can show you the techniques, what will make you a better hitter, what will, make you more explosive. But with that being said, you got to work at it and practice and get them hands quick. For the rec guys out there, if it's too fast to analyze, then by God, you got a good swing, you got it going on.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Brett Kruger. I played for Tacoma Dodge last year. We were the NSAA World Champs. We qualified for the Softball Major World Series. I'm just going to go over a few of my techniques that really help me as far as being a power hitter. You go from the standard baseball grip to a softball grip, which I do is put one finger underneath the knob, and then I take two of my fingers and go right in the crevices of my index finger and my middle finger. I just set both of these fingers over the top. What you do is you try that and give it a couple swings, and it feels your wrists really snap and are really loose. You give yourself a lot longer bat, about 2 inches longer by doing that. And it also gives you a great snap. So that's how I like to have my grip. And I think the majority of the major softball players either cross their fingers, lock their fingers, put one hand over the top just to give themselves a longer bat. Gives you more weight out there, and weight and speed carry the ball. The bat has got to pivot. It's going to be just like a whip. It's going to go like this. You're going to go boom, boom. Just like as if you're playing volleyball. You know how you take the the tether ball, and you throw it out there, it hits that rope, and then it whips around. It's the same theory. Is you snap, and right when you get to full extension, it kind of whips around. And that's where you're getting all your bat speed. You're going to drive it and whip. Just like you're taking a tether ball and you throw it, once the rope tightens up, boom, it spins around.
Different guys have different grips for hitting home runs or hitting base hits. If you're playing a game and you can't hit a home run, and you kind of make an adjustment. When I'm swinging for power, I'm in an open tournament, can hit the ball out. I use just a very loose overlap grip, usually to try to keep a lot of control. I keep two hands, no more than two fingers rather, on the bottom of the knob, and just set the other one on top. The top hand is more or less just for guidance. You know, you want to keep the bat head up, keep it from dipping down. So I just use that to kind of guide the bat through. What I do is, as I come through the zone, I'm letting this knob rest in the palm of my hand, and as I get here, it just rolls itself, and I'm still guiding the bat with this top part, making contact and following through. I have a concept, I guess, of a wheelhouse, and to me, I don't rely on a lot of open hip swinging and generating my power through the hips. I like to throw my hands and arms and get that bat speed out there through there. So I try to get the hands out there as quick as I can and get them completely extended, get full extension, and hit the ball right here in what's called a power V. Your body's making a V like that. So if you throw everything, sling the hands, arms, and get everything out here ready to hit the ball, you make contact, everything's right where it should be, the ball just flies off. And you're using the momentum from your swing to get a lot of the bat speed that you need, as opposed to opening hips and trying to hit inside pitches and do different things like that.
Well, my name is Sheldon. I weigh about 200 pounds. And I guess the secret of my swing is probably just my timing. You know, I start my whip, come across, my hips open up, and I just bring the bat head to the ball. I mean, as far as my philosophy goes, I try to hit through the ball. I try to watch it all the way to the bat, and I try to hit through it. You know, when I'm hitting good are the days that ball goes through my bat just about. I mean, perfect. And I don't care about distance. You know, I just want to hit a good hard line drive, hit the ball in the middle, wherever it's pitched. I do have a pretty good cut in my swing where I'll come down, but it's just trying to hit the ball in the middle, trying to cut it in half. You know, I'll start high and I'll finish low. Kind of scrawny as I am, I think it has to do a lot with loading up, as you say, coming back, bringing my weight forward, and then pivoting right on the ball.
I consider myself a 3/4 tomahawk swinger. Most people think that it's about 3/4 to midway, but I think it's 3/4 way tomahawk, kind of like this. I like to chop down on the ball and that and try to hit the bottom half, keeping my eye on the ball consistently through my whole swing. I like to go from my chin, from shoulder to shoulder, and have my left hand just slowly roll over the top. That way I get the backspin on the ball I need for maximum carry out of it. Most of your tomahawk swingers people are under the misconception that their top hand is doing most of the work. Mine, I feel, is my left hand coming through the ball, pulling more than I'm pushing with my right hand through it. Yeah, I think I have pretty much a level to down swing where my shoulders are coming through a hair before my hips are coming through the ball. That I try to attack a little bit more with my upper body and extend through by swiveling my hips through the ball.
My name is Daniel Dale, and I'm from Norman Park, Georgia. I play A and B ball, and I'm considered a power hitter. And here's what I like to do when I get in the box. I get shoulder, feet, my feet are shoulder width apart, and I keep my hands above my shoulders. And my big thing is I wait for pitch selection, anything from my belt to my chest that I can drive for distance. I get in and get set, see a pitch that I like, I take a very hard step towards the ball, and make sure I don't get my weight trapped back here on my back foot. Explode through the ball with my swing is level like a tomahawk. I catch the ball in front of me and spin so I catch the bottom half of the ball so I can spin it on out. My hands, I do not want to drop my shoulder. I concentrate on keeping my back shoulder up because the error in the swing and the tendency that when you bend down or squat to get your power is to drop your shoulder and you end up swinging straight up, and that's no good. I keep my shoulders up, and at the same time I step, I constantly think about my back head hitting the ball in front of the plate. You've got to remember, what you actually see on film isn't exactly what the hitter's always doing. You've got to study his swing closer to learn the mechanics of the swing and not try to emulate what you see on videotape.
You've seen the big guys, you've seen the little guys, and now you're going to see one of the old guys. I'm Bruce Fairchild. I play senior ball, over 50, now over 55 on major teams. Because I'm a natural hitter, I never had to really analyze my swing. I fooled with it a little bit, but I've always come back to just meeting the ball square out in front of the plate. A lot of wrist actions, good drive off the back leg. I think you can work on the skills to watch the ball and hit the top or bottom half consistently, but again, it's the pitch selection you need to worry about. Also, a firm believer in lining up your knuckles, what I call a knocking knuckles, straight down the bat. It doesn't restrict your wrist roll, whereas if you held them that way, it kind of tightens you up.
Guess this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you that I won the home run contest at one of the get-togethers in the spring of last year. I'm being forced to say that, of course. Pretty much my mechanics stay the same from when I played high school and college baseball. I just have a lot more weight transfer with softball and a more upright stance. Basically, my stance at the plate will be slightly open, which allows me to hit more than just the pitch from the middle of the plate in. Once again, I've got an upright stance with 80% of my body weight transferred to the back as the pitch is coming through the zone. A longer stride, getting all my weight forward and getting as much momentum as possible. When you're dealing with 160 pounds worth of weight, you got to get every single bit of it forward. As my hands are hitting forward, taking my hands to the ball, it's bringing my hips as well. Not forgetting to also bring the back foot forward, bringing every bit of momentum to the ball, meeting it out front, cutting the bottom half of the ball, and on contact, finishing high through the zone, making sure I get a nice cut on the ball and a nice lift. My favorite pitch to hit for power is middle to the plate in, making sure I can keep my hands in behind the ball, keeping my power zone closed and tight so I can explode as I'm hitting the bottom of the ball. One of the most important things once you get your hands out through the zone is the flick of the wrist through the zone here. It's a split second of time in the swing, but it's a key factor in lifting the ball, getting your hands out, and driving the ball with power.
I'm a little guy, usually the littlest guy on any team I play for. But I usually tend to hit with more power than even the bigger guys on the team, mostly because I use all the power that I can pack into my small frame. I move my weight to my back knee, and I kind of bounce on that knee, keep a little bit of momentum, and I move my hands back at the same time. When I go from my balance stance back to putting the weight on my back knee, my hands will come back with that. And I load up like a spring so that I'm ready. If that's my pitch, I can explode right through that ball. It's important for me to get my front arm extended as much as possible, because not only is it going to give me the leverage, it's going to act as a slingshot to get that bat around. Once I get my hands extended, the bat has no choice but to come around and whip through the zone. And I'm not stopping here. I'm not going to hit the ball and stop. I'm following all the way through, power all the way through the ball. For me, the chest high pitch is a more natural swing, and it's easier for me to see the ball and cut it right where I want to hit it.
The tee is something that I use in my training regimen almost daily. I think one of the keys to good hitting is muscle memory, generating a grip it and rip it approach, keeping your mind empty. And that's actually what the tee can help you do. Keep your mind empty. See ball, hit ball. Again, muscle memory is really crucial. The tee can be positioned anywhere you want, high, low, in, out. You can work on hitting the ball to right field, left field, center field, the whole gamut. You can work on your grip. You can use different bats, see which one's working better for you. It's just an excellent tool to get out by yourself, or maybe even if you have a partner, to work with them without having to worry about pitching. Now, obviously, pitching gives you the opportunity to see different movements and work on your timing. But the tee is still really crucial to developing that muscle memory. One of my personal friends and one of my idols, Ray DeMarini, used to always say, the best you can do is be the best you can be. That's what you should strive for, being the best you can be. And I think the tee really works well in allowing you to achieve that goal, which really should be your ultimate goal. First of all, I like a tee with a flexible top. The reason I like the flexible tee, or the flexible tee top, is that you can cut the bottom half of the ball, hit up through the ball, the lower half, and the tee top will not impede the bat going through the ball. One of the keys to really good hitting is finishing your swing, going through the ball. And I think this type of top works really well. As you can see, I'm not a real big guy, not a real strong guy. I'm using hand speed. I'm trying to get through the bottom half of the ball, getting the barrel out. You can see I'm using an overlap grip. I think that's very effective in getting those wrists to snap. I'm a big proponent of not only the hands leading the bat, but snapping the bat into the zone and finishing. Ray DeMarini always talked about that. Finishing. Don't give up the swing. The real key to me is getting that strong leg drive and whipping the bat through the zone. Snap, roll, finish. So have some fun and crush the ball.
We videotaped an incredibly diverse group of hitters in our research, each with their own skills and limitations. As we finish with the power hitting section of the video, we hope you give the drills a try and that you understand better both your current swing mechanics and the benefits of a more rotational approach to hitting. Knowing that consistency is more of a test than brute strength and distance, after the base hitting section we'll return to give our instructors a final exam. We'll visit 5 home run contests that our instructors entered and see how they fared. From the USSSA Major Men's Contest at Sterling Heights down to a local Darlington festival called Canoe Fest, we shall see if any of these guys could bring home the title. We'll see if there's a Rocky story for either of our small guys as they venture into the land of the giants. We'll finish with the 70-man precision base hit contest in Jacksonville with a talented field and a surprise winner.
In the limited home run game, it's imperative that hitters have the skill to dial up a home run at will, at the precise time it's needed. We've shown you how the rotational swing is a tool that can help make this happen. Additionally, and perhaps more importantly, these rotational mechanics will help you develop a base hitting strategy, enabling you to control the speed and placement of every hit, ultimately making you a complete hitter. For every lost opportunity for power in the limited home run game, a door is open to athletes who spend the time to become multi-talented hitters. The ability to be creative makes base hitting the passion of both rec and pro hitters alike. From the grace of a well-placed topspin shot to the pure brute force of a low ball blast, it's a chess match of bat control, placement, and manipulating the swing. In Part 2, we explore the methods successful pro and rec hitters use, both rotational and linear. We will show how the tee is an effective tool for developing these skills as we move our skills up to the next level. We will cover techniques for producing different spins, show how a longer linear swing will enhance control and keep the bat head on a straight line to the middle or the top of the ball. Also, how to effectively change position in the box and fully understanding pitch selection in attacking all areas of the field.
Well, so far I've learned the baBOOM, and I like to do it. But now let's get to some base hitting, because I'm always looking for some good singles.
Similar to our presentation for power hitting, we have instructors that will cover in detail different styles of base hitting. Let's briefly look at 4 basic techniques we can use. First, let's explore powerful rotational hitting with topspin. Understanding that wherever we aim the knob of the bat head will follow. We can simply change the aiming point from the bottom third for home runs and underspin to the top third for topspin line drives and ground balls. As Jim Ramsey and Gene Smith stress in their book, Serious Slow Pitch Softball, hit the part of the ball that matches your intention. This simply involves changing the thought process of the swing. Rather than a level or down cut at the bottom, we want to drive through the top half or third. The hitter can swing hard, yet the upswing will eliminate home runs while creating wicked topspin line drives and ground balls. By swinging at the top third, any mishits below the desired portion will be towards the center of the ball and give knuckleballs and line drives. If we miss the top of the ball, we have more ground balls. Both of these hits acceptable when there are home run limits. This method allows you to use your regular power swing. However, some hitters may change back to a conventional grip for improved bat control. We can eliminate the top-end bat speed by reducing the bat lag and snap. To use the tennis style of topspin swing, simply drag the bat head over the top of the ball, much like an over-the-top racket stroke. The hands, upper and lower body work together to drag the bat head across the upper rear face of the ball. Because bat lag and snap are greatly reduced, so is the speed of the swing. The hitter can still swing hard, keeping the timing intact and creating hard topspin on the ball. Combined with placement to all fields, this is a very effective tool. Secondly, we can alter the style and speed of the swing. We can eliminate the sharp bat snap, and by creating a more linear push stroke, combined with swinging closer to the plane of the incoming pitch, the swing becomes slower and more controlled. The bat head strikes the middle third of the ball for accurate distance placement and minimum spin. The entire body moves forward in a linear manner as we punch the bat head through the ball. Again, the conventional grip may offer more control. This linear push style technique is a very consistent way to control the speed and placement of the ball. Again, when combined with the ability to hit to all fields, this is a tremendous weapon. The third method involves the placement of the ball to all fields. It is achieved by moving the feet, adjusting the body position, and by swinging at select pitches. Keeping a normal stance to hide the attack, a hitter can use a no-tip lift step, committing the step at the last second to attack backside. A two-step technique repositions the hips, enabling the hitter to contact the ball out in front of the body and drive backside with more power. Finally, an inside-out swing enables a hitter to stay in the stance, wait longer on an inside pitch, yet still drive it to the opposite field. You will find that the tee is the ultimate practice tool. A hitter can develop and refine these skills before progressing on to live pitching. By placing a tee in select positions, a hitter can practice hitting in different zones, from pulling the ball for power when it's out front and inside to driving backside when it is outside and deep. Finally, we can use a no finesse attack. We simply use our regular power swing to attack select pitches, eliminating home runs but creating hard-driven balls that fielders fear. Usually very low pitches, below the knee and out in front of the plate, can be struck hard with full power, with little fear of underspinning a home run. Plus, the normal timing of the power swing allows the hitter to remain consistent. This is an effective technique for those who can usually swing away for power and spend less time on base hitting. While these are certainly not the only techniques for base hitting, they offer a variety of different styles that may suit your needs.
If you've ever played tennis or watched the pros on TV, you notice they get that nasty topspin on the ball. And that's because they're coming with an upswing and catching the face of the ball on the top half, dragging it across, creating that nasty topspin. Using this technique in the softball swing, you want to pretend that the bat head is just like the tennis racket. So instead of getting extended out and cutting the bottom half of the ball for a home run swing, you're lifting up, you're letting your hands not get extended as much, keeping them closer to the body. You're coming up through the ball more, trying to drag the bat head across the face of the ball, creating that topspin you need for a line drive. This style of swing can be very effective and consistent because it's so simple. Your lower body, upper body, hands, and bat head are all working together, coming up through the ball, everything working together to create that upswing, which makes it very consistent and easy to get the topspin. When I'm using this technique, it feels like my lead hand is not getting very far away from my body, not getting extended at all, so I can just drag down. Now, when combining this method with placing the ball at all fields, you create a very effective and consistent way for base hitting. This technique is something totally different, so set up the tee, practice it, and have some fun with it.
Whenever I hit for singles or base hits or anything other than a home run, I'm trying to swing, I guess you would say, less wildly at the ball. So I'm going more for control. I'll move from the overlap, put my complete bottom hand on the bat, and I may just put two hands or two fingers on the top part there, or overlap that. I don't pay a whole lot of attention with that second hand because that's just a guiding hand for me. I'm going to get a lot of the control of the bat with this bottom hand and just come in here. And what I do is that cuts down on the amount of power I have, but it greatly increases the accuracy. And from there I can do a lot of different things. If I need to hit backside, I can control that. If I need to pull the ball in the 3-4 hole, I can get out there a little closer, and just do what I want to do with the ball. When you have a controlled swing, you're not going to get the wrist snap that you would have if you had an overlap grip, because the overlap grip is going to allow the wrist to swing themselves through and just snap everything right through. With the controlled grip, you're going to get less snap, you're going to hit the top of the ball more, and get controlled line drives and a lot of topspin.
Oh, I love hitting them home runs and love to get up there. I'd give anything if Super Major Ball was still unlimited, but it's not. So we have to adjust to the game. To adjust to the game, you have to work at it in BP. And what we've done in BP, myself and my partner Rusty, even going to right field, you still want to, I don't want to miss, I don't want you to get a misinterpretation of me, but still you're going to keep this leg, you're going to keep your feet, your stance open, you're going to keep your weight back here on this back leg, and you still, only difference I'm doing is if I'm pulling the ball and I'm pulling it good, I'm getting my hands out here quicker and then rolling that bat. If I'm going to right field, I'm still back here with it, but at the last minute here, when I'm coming through, I'm trying just to let them hands, I'm just trying to just throw the hands at that ball and just throw it towards first and second. Now with that said, well, what part of the ball do you try to hit? When I go to right field or up the middle, I want to try to hit the middle of the ball if any way possible, or even a little bit of the top of it, because if you hit the top of it, then it's more likely going to be on the ground somewhere, over on the right side. So, with that being said, just remember, get them hands. If you're going to right, I never change my stance. I'm still down here, but when I come through, I'm just letting that ball get on me a little more because you have to, and then at the last minute, I just throw my hands at the ball, just trying to guide it. I shouldn't say, you don't like to use the word guide, but really when I go to right, I try to explode through it, but you're trying to just flick them hands and guide it right over there.
I'm a big guy. I always played high arc softball and always hit for a lot of power, but recently I've changed my approach when I got involved in senior softball to hit for a higher average, and I felt that's been more effective. The main change I've made from home run hitting to base hitting is I try to hit through the ball squarely and hit line drives. I'm trying to usually take the ball up through the middle of the box, and I'm swinging probably at about 60 to 70% unless the conditions are right for hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Always trying to hit a line drive and hit the center of the ball. When I swing for singles, I take a more compact swing and try to cut my margin of error down considerably and make solid contact with the ball. Most of the time in senior softball, they don't use a center infielder, so there's a huge gap up the middle, and I find it's easier to hit a base hit if I go in that direction. If I hit a line drive that carries, it's going to go to an area that there's usually not a fielder in center, in dead center.
Okay, when I try to go to right field, I cut down on my swing big time and try to hit them where they're not. And another thing, I don't use a high performance bat because I don't want the ball to carry too far. I start out with the same stance every time, but I don't want to tip them off, so I just use basically the same stance all the time. And then if I want to go to right field, I sort of point my left foot towards right field, and if I want to go to left field, I sort of go left field. I can like punch it to any field, and it doesn't have to be just right field. It can be any spot, left field or right. And by using the punch swing, I can go to like any field. You just choke up on the bat a little and then punch it right in front of the outfielders, but in back of the infielders. And you notice if I go to right field, I always hold the bat at the end, but when the pitch is in the air, sometimes I choke up like this and try to dink it between the fielders. That gives me a lot better control with the bat, and I can place it a lot better distance-wise also. Sometimes during the end of the tournament, when the outfielders are playing me in so shallow because I've been dinking them in front of them, then I pick up a higher quality bat and try to hit it over their heads.
I play a lot of co-ed, and I feel it's very important for a woman to be able to go to the opposite side because in our area it's not expected, and if you do go to the opposite side you'll come up with a bigger hit. The right fielder usually is a weaker player, so you don't have to have a great line drive hit to get a base hit.
If I want to go backside, which happens a lot now because even on the super major level, you've got home run limits. A few years ago you had home run hitters. Now it's 16 home runs a game, and with the teams that I play with, we got some guys, Hank Garris, people like that. You know, those guys are built and made to hit home runs. You don't want to take the bat out of their hands. So you try to conserve home runs. When you only have 16, you got to go backside a lot. Especially for me, being more of a base hitter, on-base guy, defensive player. I'm not a big home run threat like somebody like Hank or Brett Helmer or Jeff Hall. So what I do myself is I move up in the box. Instead of being back here in this area, I will actually move up and almost be level with the front of the plate, and I'll move a little bit farther away, still have enough plate coverage. You'll see whenever you drop your bat, you still got enough plate coverage to catch the outside pitch, and that's where I'm hoping it's thrown, middle to outside. So that's why if I get a called strike on me that's inside, I'll back up a little bit more, to whereas this is still in a situation where I can drive the ball the other way. What I do for hitting backside is I get it farther away from the plate, move up in the box, and I use the same grip that I use when I'm pulling the ball. I just keep the bat up, and when I see the ball coming, I wait, I let it get past me a little bit. Instead of catching it out here to drive it in the air, pulling the ball, what I'll do is I will step toward the pitcher, almost toward pitcher and shortstop area. I won't step out this way, I won't step straight, but I'll step a little bit like this, and I'll drive the ball, hitting the ball back on me this way. I want to get all parts of the plate, and I want to be able to hit the ball hard as I can through spots or through holes on the backside. I do cut down on my swing a little bit, and I just try to catch the middle of the ball and drive it. Actually for me, it's try to control the ball more, so I don't want to try to hit the bottom or top half or try to loop it over somewhere. Basically, to control the ball more, I try to hit it exactly in the middle, and that way I've got a little bit margin for error. And you know, sometimes you get those humpbacks backside, or sometimes you can hit them flares when you catch the bottom of the ball. I've got to practice and practice and practice. So that's what's important to me is getting everything down, getting my timing, getting the bat head out, and that takes practice. So that's my best tip for myself, is to practice, practice, practice.
I want to talk about a simple focus about going the right field. Let's face it, in a game you want to be a complete hitter and go all fields, but what you don't want to do is give away when you're going the right field. So many times, if any of you play infield or if you've played this game a lot before, then you know what happens. A guy comes to the back plate to the dish and gets himself maybe an extra foot off the plate, and right away the infielders know, hey, this person's trying to hit backside. So what I like to do is when I get in the box, I don't want to telegraph or let the defense know where I'm going, which, let's face it, when you're playing on the other side of the field, that becomes a problem, because if you can hit backside and you can hit backside with authority, and when you want to hit backside, you become that complete player. When I go backside again, when we talk about telegraphing it, so many players come off the plate or they do the two-step where they back up. A lot of people say, well, you can't react in time to that if you're the defense, but I disagree. Because if you start telegraphing and you're going to go backside, all that infielder needs is maybe 1 or 2 extra steps to get that jump on you and make a dive and stop that ball and keep you to possibly a single or possibly getting a force at a base. What I want to do is when those fielders look at me, they don't know. They say, hey, he just pulled the ball through the 5-6 hole the first time. He must be going there again, because his feet, his stance, and everything at the plate is the same. But what I like to do is when the pitcher delivers the ball to me, whether it's in the middle or it's toward the outside, now preferably I'd like a middle out pitch. Obviously it makes it much easier to go that way, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way all the time. What I like to do is get in the box, get set with my normal stance, my normal hands, position, and feet and all, but as the ball starts to get in on me or starts to come in on the plate, instead of getting it further out in front to pull it, what I'll do is wait till the ball gets a little bit deeper on the plate, and just to get myself a little time in a release, I'll lift my foot, and as I lift my foot, what I'll do is I'll let the ball get a little bit further on the plate and just point and drive that way in that direction. Now you just saw me dip. I'm not looking to dip. When the ball comes in, I'm waiting, looks like I'm going to drive it. I lift and I go straight that way to right field. When I end up, I'm pointing right at the right fielder or the first baseman or second baseman. Generally, I'm looking to go through that hole over there or over top of the first baseman's head. And again, there's no telegraphing of it. No one knows it's coming, because it's standard stance, standard looking at the pitcher. And when that ball comes and you let it get just a little bit deeper, that's when you jump, explode, and go to that right field position.
If there's a big hole between first and second or a right fielder that I want to pick on, I'll just dance in the box and I have a finesse swing. I'll make sure I'll hit the ball back here behind me, the right angle, and just dump it over into right field. Or you don't have to say that you have to dump it. I mean, you can dance and blast it through that first, second hole as well. There we go. That's just the reason I move my feet, is so I can get in a position. So that's almost my pole swing there. Now, the only thing you got to be careful of, if there's a definitive box or an anal umpire of someone once in a while calling you out of the box. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for all the umpires I've ever had. I've been thrown out of one game and it was a total misunderstanding. So when I say this, please don't take it the wrong way. But a lot of times the umpires are standing in places where fielders don't want them in their way, outfielders don't want them in their way, infielders don't want them in their way. So where they're standing, not the umpires themselves, are a good place to aim for a base hit through the infield.
Here's a little bit of an explanation of what I try to do when I hit opposite field. This is a technique that my dad taught me actually 30 years ago in a father-son game, and I learned it the hard way because I was playing first base and he was a right-handed hitter, and just to mess with me, he took a little two-step in the box and ripped the line drive right between me and the first base line, and I never forgot it. Now 30 years later, I'm able to use it myself, and the key to going opposite field is to bring your back heel to your front foot. Once you establish that, then you can step toward the direction you want to hit, and everything else falls into place. This is different than some of the regular two-step hitters that you see who will do nothing more than just slide up in the box to meet the pitch. This is a specific technique to go opposite field. And the way to do it is to put your weight on your front foot when the pitch is delivered, bring your rear heel to your front heel, which turns the angles of your hips, then you can step to the direction you want to hit. The two-step to go opposite field is a dance that you play with the pitcher. When the pitcher releases the ball, you shift your weight to your front foot. As the ball is reaching the top of its arc, you're bringing your rear heel to your front heel. Then as the ball is coming down, you're striding in the direction you want to hit. Now your hips are in a different angle from where you started, and you can hit the ball to the opposite field out in front of the plate. Because the opposite field swing, the two-step, takes less effort than your regular swing, Best times to work on it are right at the beginning of your practice when you're warming up, and right at the end when you're a little bit tired. Make sure to work on your opposite field hitting next time you go out and practice. Not bad.
One way to base hit is to back up deeper in the box and get that short pitch. And get that short pitch and get down on the same plane as that short pitch and try to hit knee-high balls through whichever your best hole is in the infielder. If they're not playing 5-man, then obviously not at the pitcher, but by the pitcher is the easiest hole to hit. And with my swing, if I swing at that short pitch, I can confidently go at it as hard as I want to, knowing it's going to be very difficult for me to drive it out of the park, knowing that I can just hit lasers through the infield or something that somebody may or may not want to get in front of.
Now, just like in the power segment, we're going to try and refine our skills using the batting tee and then eventually progress on to live pitching. If you don't have a piece of netting like this, the Jugs instant screen works excellent. You just simply move your body around so you're hitting into the net. In power hitting, there's basically only 2 different styles, but there's so many adjustments you use in base hitting that you have to personalize the ones that work best for you for your own needs. A key point to remember is that when you're switching to the base hitting techniques, your top hand guides and pushes a lot more. After you've used the cup grip for a while like myself, it's hard to go back to the conventional grip when base hitting. So we've developed something that we've never seen anywhere else, a new technique, a new grip, which is called the reverse cup grip. And that entails just taking your top hand, gripping the bottom of the bat, and just reverse cupping it just like you would on a normal cup grip. So using this reverse cup grip, you still get the great top hand control with the comfort of a cup swing. This is my normal stance in USSSA ball where I put my front foot lined up with the corner of the plate. But when you're playing ASA or high arc ball, the arc of the ball is going to be different, so you want to get back a little bit more. You don't want that arc of the pitch coming across your chest. You want the ball to land out in front of you so you can still swing the same way, but you get the pitch out in front of you so you can drive it. But if you look out at the arc of the ball and you see it's going to land short, you can move up a little bit during the pitch, make sure that it comes back waist deep and it gets behind you a little bit, and you can drive that opposite field or backside. What you don't want is that deep pitch coming back across your chest where you run the risk of hitting underneath it and hitting that weak fly out. So that's why you stand back in the box, hopefully to get a shorter pitch on you. Generally speaking, you want to get a pitch that's waist level or lower because it's a lot easier to hit the top half of the ball due to our hand and bat head position. It takes some coordination, but a lot of guys like to walk up on every pitch, and they like the timing aspect of it. So even in USSSA, if you see the ball coming in and they walk up on every pitch, the advantage is that you get a pitch in your zone almost every time. Whether it's short or deep, you can adjust the way that you walk up to get that pitch. The disadvantage is that there's more motion involved, and thus that might create timing problems. The top spin for power. You want to get a pitch out in front of you and inside, use your rotational mechanics, aim at the top half of the ball, and swing away hard. Now I'm going to use the top spin with power, but to hit backside. So I let the pitch get back into my body and a little bit outside, and use the no-tip step like Gene Smith showed. For the low ball blast, you want to get a pitch that's about knee-high in front of you. You might even want to get back in the box a little bit to assure that. You use your normal rotational mechanics, get down low and blast through the ball. The low ball blast is effective to all fields, so you just want to let the pitch get deeper into you and still at the knee-high level, use your same mechanics and blast it the other way. Move the tee around so you practice both these techniques to all fields, making them most effective. Again, you have the proper tee placement. Now I'm going to do the two-step backside with hard topspin. Now I'm going to use the linear punch swing. I want to try and hit it right over the pitcher's head. It's more of a finesse swing. I'm cutting my swing down a little bit, and both my hands are pushing the bat head through the ball, and I'm taking a longer step and coming into it. I'm going to use the punch swing to go backside, and I'm going to use the no-tip method where I just lift my foot up and drive it the other way. Now I'm going to use the walk-up method to go backside, and it's different than the two-step because using the walk-up, I'm just changing the position of the pitch so it gets deeper back on my body and makes it easier to go the other way. In the two-step, I stand in my normal stance, and I just change my hip position so I can go backside with my full power. You never want to try and pull an outside short pitch or try and go backside with it So you either want to use the walk-up to change the position of the pitch on your body, or else use the low ball blast the other way. Even with a poor swing, you may hit well at times, but remember to videotape and analyze your swing because you'll never hit consistently with a major flaw. Don't focus all your attention on physical work and be lazy mentally when it comes to game time. So if you have an hour before your next game and your opponent is playing, go out there, scout the pitcher, because a lot of times you'll pick up tendencies on what pitches he's throwing or what habits he has. You may have noticed that we left off hitting backside for power in the power segment, and that's because we wanted to keep it fresh for right now in this segment. And there's really only a small change in hitting backside for base hitting as opposed to hitting for power. And so after you take your two-step and you're in the position, instead of leading the knob of the bat at the top half of the ball to create the top spin, you're leading the knob of the bat at the bottom half of the ball, just like for your normal power mechanics. That creates the good bat lag and the hard snap into the bottom half of the ball. By hitting the ball out in front of you and getting that hard underspin, it will give you tremendous power backside, taking advantage of wind, sun, defensive, and field conditions. Tip 2, tomahawkers, just like with the rotational mechanics, you need to work on getting the lead arm extended so the bat snaps through naturally. A similar technique to the low ball blast that the tomahawkers like to use for base hitting is called the beatdown. And that's simply using the tomahawk style swing, hitting the top and back of the ball down with a radical cut angle. This technique creates some wicked shots that are hard to field and can be placed in gaps. Some guys are very effective at it. There's a very crisp and technical aspect to the rotational power swing with the lead arm extension and bat snap through the ball, whereas the push swing for base hitting is a much more linear type swing that you have to get a feel for. It's much less rotational and everything is coming ahead, pushing the bat head into the ball, allowing you to place it to all fields with different speeds. Be aware that the end load of a bat will affect your performance and bat control, so experiment with different bats and find one that best suits your needs. If you're serious about improving your softball game, then you have to be serious about practicing. What good does it do to religiously lift every day if you never work on technique? So practice 5 minutes a day for a month and see how much you improve. You might be amazed. As you can see, there's many variations for attacking the defense. After you've refined your skills off the tee and you move on to live batting practice, get some of those orange surveyor flags and place them on the infield and outfield so you can aim at them and eventually become the master of placing the ball.
I represent many women who made the transition from fast pitch to slow pitch softball. I played high school and college fast pitch, and when I jumped to slow pitch, I basically used the same mechanics but found myself loading up more and lengthening out my stride and pre-swing. I have always pushed more with my top hand and hip, but now I find myself pulling with my lead arm more and guiding with my wrist to generate the maximum amount of power on my small frame. I like to do the baBOOM, especially the boom. You might notice I let out a timing grunt when I hit. It's really the same thing as the boom, a timing of the explosion. Because I'm not very big, I like to burn the outfielders and hit it over their head.
Our staff has noticed that many fast pitch hitters continue that level swing in slow pitch. They cut the ball well and easily convert from fast pitch to slow pitch with a powerful swing. Two of the best we've seen are from the Belmont area and our sisters, daughters of Wisconsin sports legend Jim Van Gloen. We asked Kristen and Nicole Van Gloen what adjustments they made from fast pitch to championship level slow pitch softball.
My biggest change going to slow pitch would be I still try to cut through the ball, but I try to take a bigger stride and put my body into it more. My biggest adjustment would be listening to the guys bitch in co-ed all the time because they never do anything wrong.
You may remember from previous videos our bulkish power buddy Stump. He slimmed down from 250 to 199 and finally got married for the first time. To keep his co-ed softball options open, he just happened to marry the best woman power hitter in the area. Christy is one of the few women we've ever seen hit a 12-inch softball over a 350-foot fence. Here on a baseball fence, she easily carries the power alleys with bats from all associations, including the Envy and using the Evil Ball. An aggressive forward motion and explosive bat whip gives her the power necessary to launch the ball. At 5'8", she's average size, but has gigantic power. Now Stump no longer needs to travel to Darlington to get beat by Brett and I in our BP home run contest. his wife can do it for us. Well, that concludes our instructional segments. And as you develop a complete arsenal of base hit weapons, it's easy to understand how they can quickly raise your batting average several hundred points. Brain power certainly goes a long way to overcoming physical limitations. Analyzing video clips of your swing and comparing it to others is essential for improvement. Plus, it's a lot of fun. So to give you an entertaining variety of swings to view, after I finish the thank yous, we're going to present 5 home run and base hit contests from high rec to super major levels. It's great entertainment. You're going to see a lot of good and bad swings. So learn to analyze the technique. And combined with the base hitting footage you saw earlier in the DVD, these are great visual tools to help you improve. I have a couple thank yous. I know that many of you play in national tournaments. This August I made my way with Roberts Construction to my first over 50 senior national, the SSWS tournament in Des Moines, Iowa. From the start, the camaraderie and good sportsmanship was awesome. I soon learned that Mike Kelly of Kelly's Ultimate Sports and his Kelly Sports senior team are the big dogs of senior softball. While my buddies at Roberts finished a respectable 4th, Kelly's ended up winning the national title. What a crew. I want to thank organizations that put on tournaments of all ages that really enhance the softball experience. I want to thank my wife Mary and my son Brett, as well as our long list of batting practice partners. The list is in the credits, and these athletes helped us test both good and bad ideas. I apologize to anybody who permanently ruined their swing in the making of this DVD. A special thanks goes out to Mizuno. They supplied some product, but most importantly, they gave us access to their slow pitch softball ambassadors. They're the best because of the quality people they have, like Greg Harding, Rusty and Jeff, and the incredible staff worldwide. Greg will have some parting comments from Mizuno during the credits. We also want to thank Evil Sports and Bob Russell for supplying us with the hardest, hottest, and most durable softballs available today. Like Mizuno, they're a company that finally listened to what the rec players wanted. Finally, thanks to Gene Smith, Luann, and the Softball Magazine staff for letting us take part in the first Softball Magazine spring training. It was held in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and was just awesome. Any serious softball player should make this an annual event, the ultimate experience. We're going to have Gene on after the contest to fill you in on what's going on with softball spring training next year. He's the 3rd fastest talker in America, and nobody in the world promotes softball any better than he and his staff. Jim Ramsey and Gene both co-authored the book that we referred to several times in the DVD called Serious Slow Pitch Softball. You can order it off the Softball Magazine web store or off the website shown here. I want to thank all the pro and rec players that helped us out in this production. I hope you viewers understand how special it was to have 4 of the greatest super major players ever appear here and share their knowledge. Jeff Hall, Jason Kendrick, and Greg Harding were awesome with their teaching segments. Now, we featured dozens of swings from Rusty Bumgardner, but we didn't ask Rusty to do a personal segment because he has his own DVD out on power hitting, and we didn't want to step on his project. But he was very gracious in offering hitting tips during Softball Magazine's spring training, as well as through phone conversations with me. In fact, I styled my swing most closely after his. His DVD, Pure Power, is awesome, and it's marketed through a company that has that great softball cable show, Softball 360. You can order it on the website shown here. Also, we want to give a special thanks to Super Major player John Glidewell and to all the parks, organizations, and festivals that rolled out the welcome wagon for us. Lastly, you've got to love to hit. Even in 15-degree Wisconsin weather, it's still a lot of fun. On behalf of North Star Productions and SportsTechnique.com, we thank you. Meanwhile, Doug and I are going to keep hitting in the snow until we're as good as Rusty Bumgardner.
Absolutely.
In order to show more swings in the home run contest, we didn't show where every ball landed. So let's take a quick look at the longest we taped. Every bomb over 400 feet and some into the 5s. Many with the evil ball.
guys are made of. I want to see who's man enough to win this contest.
Now it's test time. Let's have our power hitters take the final exam. First, the Moore GT Home Run Contest in Jacksonville. Here, in a group of 55 hitters with skill ranges from church league through low major, we saw a variety of swings and a full buffet of long power. When the smoke cleared, it was an outstanding showing by one of the smallest guys, Scott Dooley, board name 3-Ball. He lost a close hit-off with his teammate, the brute power hitter Jason Pridgeon, a.k.a. Naka. Pitching to each other, you wonder if one of them maybe slipped in a spitball or two. A close third was big slugger Brett Kruger, showing that he certainly has the big-time swing.
My main key is getting out, getting my weight going here, turning through the chest, right? Make good solid contact, get a lot of backspin on the ball, and hope for the best.
Next stop, Darlington's Canoe Fest. While the smallest field of only 24 hitters, Bogey claims it's the most prestigious, mostly because he won it. Despite fine performances by Jamie Bergen, Jeff Solberg, and Gabe McKee, Shem Heiser, Shemmy, took second, with Bogey winning the title.
Hey, Cole from Wanafest.
We then traveled to Waunakee, Wisconsin, the biggest softball tournament in the southern half of Wisconsin, and by far the most prestigious. A group of 40 of the top tri-state athletes competed in the first home run contest sponsored by North Star, with Mizuno prize packages being given away.
Hi, welcome to the 27th Annual Wanafest Softball Tournament and the first annual Wanafest Home Run Derby, sponsored by North Star Productions and Mizuno. We've got 34 teams here. This is the premier unlimited arc softball event in southern Wisconsin. Some great softball, some great weather. We got a big beer tent with some great bands, carnival. A lot of excitement going on this weekend. 66 games and winner take all.
In front of a mammoth beer tent crowd of close to 3,000, bomb after bomb was delivered. Pre-tournament favorite Scott Mao lost his chance for the finals when he shanked his last one onto the roof of the beer tent. When the smoke cleared, it was our own Johnny Gavin walking away with the title. One of the smallest guys in the field, 5'6" Chris Broomer, and DECRA-led legend Scott Strutz were the runners-up.
Welcome to Liberty Park, located in Sterling Heights, Michigan, to our 21st annual Mizuno USSSA Last Chance Major NIT. USSSA, the greatest organization in America. We call this the last chance because there's 2 berths remaining for our major World Series, and those 2 berths will come out of this tournament. We wish the teams the best of luck. We have a strong field, and we good luck to all the teams. We have a home run hitting contest tonight, our first annual. We have some of the strongest hitters in the country. We wish them all the best of luck. May the best man win.
Todd Jorling. First, Eric Daniels. I'm getting all my shit.
I was fortunate enough to win this tournament tonight with a lot of the big swingers and boys in the ball 400 feet. But the main reason that I was able to compete with them was cutting down on the ball, getting that sweet backspin, and allowing the ball to carry itself out of the park.
Finally, we had the makings of two Rocky stories. At the first Softball Magazine Spring Training Home Run Contest, with a great field of 45 hitters, including major tournament players, our bomb-blasting midget, 5'5½", 155-pound Josh Foster, survived the first cut to make the final 10. After the final round, 4 hitters were tied. The favorites, great hitters like Brett Kruger, Tomahawk slugger Chad 34, Darryl Cribbs, and even Hall of Famer Doc Clay had been eliminated. Bill Bosser, Daniel Dell, Ken Van Bogart, and Josh Foster were left on the stage. They hit first and incredibly left the door open for Josh. With one swing to go, to win it all, he stepped up to the plate. Foster delivered big time in the clutch and became Softball Magazine's undisputed home run champion.
I tell you, it was a hell of a thrill yesterday. I was hitting against some big guys. Being the smallest guy there, I really didn't think I had a chance. The adrenaline got to me, and I was able to pull it out, and I can't tell you how good it made me feel.
In a base hit contest, a similar scenario developed. Mark Klinge, the blue jean wonder from the hills of southern Wisconsin, faced 60 accomplished hitters in the Jacksonville, Florida More GT Base Hit Contest. Using the tee to eliminate the pitching factor, Klinge was awesome, taking the early lead as great hitter after great hitter attempted to overtake him. They all fell short, and in the end, he too overcame incredible odds to win, showing why he is considered one of the best place hitters in the Midwest tri-state area and the pride of Rui, Wisconsin.
Hi, I'm Greg Harding, the National Promotions Manager for Softball for Mizuno USA for both fast pitch and slow pitch, and we're out here at Liberty Park for the Mizuno Last Chance USSSA NIT. Mizuno, the world's #1 baseball and softball company, has a complete line of high-performance fast and slow-pitch gloves, batting gloves, footwear, bats, bags, and apparel. The Mizuno fast pitch products designed by Mizuno engineers and Team USA superstars Jenny Finch and Natasha Watley are setting the standard for fast pitch players around the world. From the Midwest American steer hide in our ball gloves to the explosive composite materials in our softball bats, Mizuno combines the finest materials in the world with hand craftsmanship and revolutionary designs to help players of all abilities perform at their very best.
What we're really excited about is we're here today at Stradley Park in Cocoa, Florida for our Softball Magazine Spring Training. You can hear all the noise and everything going around us in the action. We've been here for 3 action-packed days. It's been unbelievable. Basically what we have here is Softball Spring Training. It's sponsored by Softball Magazine, Mizuno Sports, Louisville Slugger, Toledo Sports, and Vinci Pro, and also North Star Productions. This softball spring training has been an idea and a concept we've kind of been kicking around for years, and everybody finally said, let's go do this and let's see what's going to happen. Well, let me tell you, it is something that is going to stay and it's going to be here. You're looking at 3 days of infield, defensive, outfield, getting batting practice, tips from major players. This afternoon we will have Rusty Bumgardner, Jeff Hall here from Mizuno, sponsored players that will be here, men's majors players working on our swing. How would you like to be able to go home and say, Rusty Bumgardner helped me with my follow-through and rolling my wrist over? These are the kind of people that can, when you leave this clinic, can help you and improve your game and make you a better player. If you want to check out what it's all about, stay tuned all year long to the site, softballspringtraining.com. We'll have updates for next year's clinic and next year's spring training here in spring. We're looking to grow this thing. Eventually, what we look to see happen is have a women's spring training, a youth spring training, a co-ed, and just the men's that we have going on. This one was open to men's and women. We have a couple women's players here this year. They're involved, and we're doing scrimmage games along with it today. We're really excited about spring training because we feel it's a need out there and it's continued to grow with these clinics. Again, Softball Magazine, if you guys haven't seen it, we talked about the hard-hitting editorials and the columns by the major players, but again, equipment guides to help you, again, better your game, to know what equipment fits the player and fits you so you know what you need. Also, Softball Magazine, if you're not aware, we are the home of Bat Wars. Bat Wars is probably one of the best things to come to softball since the aluminum bats happened. Let's face it, when bats got up to start costing $300 and $400 and $500, you buy a bat and you don't like it, you own it. Now you're selling it to your buddy for $50 at league. What Bat Wars has done is we've been able to take the event Bat Wars around the country to 5 different regions, which allows people to get to the event. But the neat thing for the softball player is it doesn't cost you a dime. You come out to the day of the event, you swing all the latest and greatest in bats, you get to try the equipment, talk to the manufacturers who make this product and give them your feedback. Tell them, you know what, why is this bat so end-loaded? I don't swing an end-loaded bat. I love the model, but why don't you make a balance? They want to hear your feedback, and what Bat Wars does is deliver that to you, the softball player. You can come out for the day, try them all day long. It's for free, as we say. Get back in line, try all the bats you want. If a Bat Wars comes to your area, you need to check it out. If it's not, you need to make plans to catch one, just like this softball spring training we've got going on. We got so many things happening at the magazine. Player prize package. Just by giving your name and number to us, or by registering on our website, or being a subscriber, you get a chance at winning a player prize package, a hat, a t-shirt, a bat bag loaded, ready to go, just by being part of the support group and family of Softball Magazine. Our sports ticker, 24/7. You can log on to our softballmag.com site and check out what's going on in the sport of softball. From fast pitch, slow pitch, seniors, we cover the entire sport of softball. Again, if you're looking for softball, I can't see how you can't be part of Softball Magazine.